Well, buckle up. We're getting ready to enter into a period of basically martial law. Trump is going to create the National Guard response force. Now, the thing is, like, it's crazy to me. I posted this on the YouTube feed, and people are like, yes, this is great. This is amazing. So I want to read this to you. It's kind of hard to read, but I'm going to read it to you, and we're going to talk about why you should not in any way be supporting this. Exclusive: Trump admin to create nation's first ever National Guard response force to begin training troops for nationwide civil unrest, with some troops specialized in chemical, biological, and nuclear scenarios. Memorandum for all states, territories, and District of Columbia. National Guard Response Force implementation. I'm going to link to this in the description so you guys can go read it. It's hard to read on here, but please go read this. Go read it in detail and understand that this is not a good thing. Like, you might be celebrating this because, yes, is crime kind of running rampant in several cities in the United States, which is not good. And I think that should be dealt with, but that should be dealt with on a police level, a city police level. Because the problem here is, if we create a federal police force, all right, so the National Guard goes in and we federalize the police. And Trump was saying this on the campaign trail. He was saying he wanted to have a federal stop and frisk campaign to where nationally police would stop and frisk people. But that's basically, that's authoritarian. That's like, show me your papers in Germany. And those of you that are constitutionalists should realize this is not constitutional. We were warned about giving up a little bit of privacy for security by Benjamin Franklin, and we're going to end up with neither. And the thing is, like I said, I saw people in my comments when I posted this saying, this is good. I support this. Crime is out of control. Okay, like I said, I get that. But here's what you're not getting. Once we establish this power with the executive branch, all right? So I don't like Trump, but you may love Trump. You may trust Trump. You'll be like, this is what I voted for. Yes, Trump, Trump, Trump. And you're giving this power to Trump because he's going to fix it. He's going to make America great again. But remember, once this power is established by the executive branch, it's going to pass to the next president and the next president and the next president, and just be expanded upon from there. That's why this is so dangerous. You guys are always like on board with this authoritarian stuff when it's your guy. But you'd be flipping out if Biden did this. If Biden tried to do this, you guys would be like, oh my gosh, Biden's trying to control us. He's going to do the federal police force, and this is martial law. You guys would be screaming at the top of your lungs, freaking the hell out and going crazy. But the fact that you're not doing it when Trump is doing it because he's your guy, that's concerning. And that's when people are talking about, oh, when your guy gets in, people just go to sleep. They're like, okay, I voted. My guy got in. I can just relax. I don't have to do anything anymore. Whew. That is the danger of right and left politics, of being a Republican or a Democrat. Because when your Republicans pass these shitty ass laws that further erode our Constitution, you're for it. But when it's the Democrats, you're against it. But the Democrats are for it. We have the Constitution is the only thing we have left to keep our freedom. It's it. It's our last bastion of hope. And it keeps eroding away more and more and more. And the Trump administration has proven to be nothing more than an authoritarian administration. We are co-opted by Israel. They are coming after us for our speech. There was actually a case recently where a woman ripped an Israeli flag from a woman's neck, which should be a misdemeanor, stealing or whatever. But because it was an Israeli flag, and the judge ruled that because it had the Star of David on it, that it was a hate crime. So this is coming. They're saying, oh, we're going to, put these things in place and go after the speech of people being anti-Semites that are not legal citizens. But have you guys not learned? Have you not learned that when they do that to target someone else, it always comes back to us? Remember the Patriot Act? They passed that to fight terrorism, right? And you know how many people have gone to jail without due process because of the Patriot Act? Still to this day, it gives them dictatorial-like powers over you. And I see so many on the right up in arms about the Patriot Act and up in arms about all of this legislation that's controlling. But then when it's like they sell it as, well, the police can't really do anything. The police have been co-opted, and there's the crime is out of control in these cities. We got to send in the feds, the federal police. Listen to yourselves. Just think. Let's try to think outside of your bias or outside of your love and love for Trump. Try to think outside of that. Put the shoe on the other party. Like I said, imagine if it was Biden doing this. Take the exact same scenario, the exact same legislation, the exact same thing, and say exclusive. Biden admin to create nation's first ever National Guard response force to begin training troops for nationwide civil unrest, with some troops specialized in chemical, biological, and nuclear scenarios. Troops must be operational April 1st, 2026 per memo. If you saw that come from the Biden administration, what would you do? I'm telling you, you would flip the hell out. So you should be flipping out right now. There's no denying that tensions are escalating across the United States, with multiple standoffs happening between protesters, states, and the federal government. Well, according to a government memorandum exclusively disclosed to me by a source within the federal government, National Guardsmen in all 50 states and U.S. territories are set to begin training for potential mass civil unrest beginning this month. The memo lays out guidance for the formation of the National Guard Response Force, citing the executive order by President Donald Trump that deployed the D.C. Guard to crack down on the Capitol's crime as one reference for the NGRF's creation. The memo also directs for all NGRF components to be operational no later than April 1st, 2026, raising the question as to what the federal government believes might be in store this upcoming spring. The way this newly formed National Guard unit would work is, should a state NGRF unit be activated to respond to mass civil unrest, the goal is to have the entire unit, up to 500 members, be ready to deploy within 24 hours to a specific state location. It can currently take up to 72 hours for soldiers to be on the ground in cases of widespread riots. Most National Guardsmen are not currently trained for civil unrest scenarios. Troops part of the NGRF will be trained on how to respond to violent crowds and proper use of large crowds using batons and non-lethal weapons like tasers and OC spray. My sources also tell me the information of the unit like this is not normal and unusual, since soldiers who are a part of a different task force are apparently being reassigned to be part of the NGRF, with some of the troops being pulled into this new response force being specialized troops who have been trained in chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear incidents. To my knowledge, I have never seen an order like this before, the source explained, hoping this is only to be safe and precautious and none of this will be used in a real scenario. The source further added, in hopes we never have to activate or deploy these units across the nation due to potential civil unrest. When asked if NGRF's creation is simply in response to the current wave of unrest sparked by anti-ICE demonstrations and crime rates, my source believes that could be one reason, but adding, it also feels like leadership has intelligence or indications that something more significant could happen between January and May of 2026. Then why should it be available in April? I don't know. Otherwise, they wouldn't be pulling specialized forces into a role they were never meant to fill, the source said. The deployment of National Guardsmen to cities like Portland, Los Angeles, and Chicago in response to crowds attacking ICE and Border Patrol agents has been met with legal challenges that saw their deployments temporarily paused. On Monday, a federal appeals court ruled Trump can send the Oregon National Guard to Portland to help defend the ICE facility in the southern part of the city. With Monday's legal victory, it appears the NGRF will have no trouble with being sent to U.S. cities should the situation arise requiring their activation. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem praised the ruling as affirming President Trump is rightfully using his constitutional authority to protect federal property and personnel. The law, U.S. Constitution, and Supremacy Clause back the president's action to protect the public and law enforcement, and today's ruling has vindicated us, Noem added. Is this action simply a need to meet the times in which an administration wants to create a federal response force, should such a time arise, to activate them now or in the distant future, and the federal government now has a well-trained task force to deploy in all 50 states? Could this task force have helped minimize and contain the George Floyd Summer of Love riots? And now, with similar protests taking shape, this administration wants to get ahead of potential further violence or help with widespread unrest when state governments fails to defend its citizens? Or could the federal government have intel that indicates a potential outside or global threat that will require trained civil unrest troops to be deployed to major cities nationwide to help maintain order? Time will tell. The Department of War did not respond in time to a request for comment. So this is from Anthony Cabasa from the Informed Community. So if you guys want to go follow him over on Substack, I highly recommend you do. But again, you guys, just try to put the shoe on the other party when you're looking at legislation like this, and don't just get all riled up and be like, yes, this is what we need. Because yes, it could be what we need right now. But they use these things to lay the groundwork for what they can do tomorrow. And we need to be diligent and not just think about today. We have to think about tomorrow. Because if we don't think about tomorrow, then they're going to just do whatever they want. Oh, they're going to get on board because we can create this boogeyman and say that this is going on. And then they'll get on board and they'll all support it. And then the executive branch has that added power. So, just like the executive branch right now is able to call for the bombing of boats in the ocean. And a lot of people are supporting it. But we cannot give the executive branch that kind of power, because that power will and can be turned against us. When it's too late, because there's too much power out here, they have too many guards and army and all this military and everything out here in the streets, then we will not be able to protest. Just look at the Germany blueprint. Look at the blueprint in Germany when they took the guns. Pay attention to history. It's important. And this is not a good thing. So please don't treat it like it is. All right. You guys, thank you so much for watching my videos. I really appreciate all the conversations. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. I know that the topics aren't really great to talk about, but we need to talk about them. We need to think. We need to do things. We need action. Also, thank you for watching. And if you're new, subscribe, like, follow, whatever you're listening on. And if you want to support